And as president, I intend to work with you to write the next chapter in the story of American innovation.
If you care about the internet, well, Barack's the guy for you.
He understands the importance of a national broadband strategy, and he knows that that strategy has to include every American.
That's here on the Fox News Channel, the network America trusts for fair and balanced news.
Barack Obama in a bathing suit.
The reason that he's considered such a big deal is simply because he's black.
He is a black candidate surrounding himself with a lot of white advisors.
Neither one of us can point to one thing Barack Obama has done for African Americans.
Well, first of all,
well, nothing.
President Obama is spending your tax dollars to create jobs. How's he doing? You've heard of Solyndra. They took $535 million in taxpayer loan guarantees and went bankrupt. But that's not even half the story. Obama's Department of Energy has handed out billions of dollars in loans and grants. First Solar, $3 billion in taxpayer-backed loan guarantees. Now they're cutting jobs, and their stock is near all-time lows. Ecotality received $126 million in taxpayer money, lost $45 million, and currently under investigation. SunPower, more than $1 billion in loan guarantees, lost $500 million last year, laying off workers. More than $16 billion have gone to companies like Solyndra that are linked to big Obama and Democrat donors. The Inspector General said contracts were steered to friends and family. Obama is giving taxpayer money to big donors, and then watching them lose it. Good for them, bad for us.
Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
The drug war.
Across America, heroin is taking hold.
Versus the war on drugs. Next on Global Pulse. A comparison of how these broadcasters are covering Mexico's drug war and the American war on drugs.
In the United States, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer passed a law that makes it a crime to be undocumented. Police will be authorized to detain anyone suspected of not having proof that they are in the country legally.
The governor pointed out that the law not only protects the citizens of Arizona from immigration, but from the drug cartels operating on the border with Mexico as well.
One of the reasons Arizona has instituted this harsh immigration law is to curb drug violence. But is it the right action? Arizona's citizens have good reason for alarm, as these reports from Fox News and Germany's Das Erste reported.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. The drug gangs purchase large-caliber guns more and more to attack the military in Mexico and to defend their merchandise in the United States. This is the end of the high fence, Rancher Glenn shows us, and they can still get through there easily with their drugs.
They can't see this spot right here.
Glenn shows us the Mexican smugglers' storage facility, right next to the border fence. Below us, we spot a chase by the Border Patrol, but neither the drugs nor the violence from Mexico can be stopped while the cartels rule there.
To Roger Barnett, the murder of neighbor and fellow cattleman Rob Krentz is no surprise.
It's a sad deal that Rob had to die over this.
On Saturday, while tending to his ranch, Krentz radioed his brother saying he was going to help an illegal immigrant. That was the last anyone heard from him. For years, ranchers have complained they're being overrun by illegal immigrants and drug runners.
War, wealth, propaganda, and Petraeus. Next on Global Pulse. How these news sources are covering Afghanistan's mineral wealth. Big news from Afghanistan, and it's not about General Petraeus' new command. Although we will get to that, it's not the intractability of the fighting, it's the announcement of great riches.
Truly surprising story about Afghanistan.
The U.S. government survey has found
nearly $1 trillion in untapped mineral deposits.
The minerals include lithium, iron, gold, niobium, and cobalt.
And U.S. officials say the reserves could turn Afghanistan into one of the world's leading mining exporters.
Yes, Afghanistan?
Afghanistan's President Karzai, salesman-in-chief, hit the road bound for the second largest contributor to the war effort, Japan, as China's CCTV reported. Last year, Korea heard a similar pitch when it made a new commitment of troops for the Afghan war, as KBS reported.
The Afghan ambassador to South Korea welcomed the Korean government's decision to deploy troops to Afghanistan. Ambassador Rahimi emphasized that Afghanistan has various mineral resources, such as copper and iron.
Afghanistan will be a very attractive country for many countries like Korea.
The U.S. has reasons to cheer the announcement, as this ABC News report makes clear.
U.S. officials imagine an Afghanistan that's the Saudi Arabia of mining, paying for its own army, revamping crumbled infrastructure. The U.S. hopes these discoveries produce a gold rush that helps stabilize Afghanistan and makes it easier for the Americans to go home.
The story first appeared in the New York Times, generating speculation on just why it was released at this moment. The PBS NewsHour explored this angle in an interview with the article's author James Risen.
Your story has unleashed blogs and columns today questioning the timing on the part of the Pentagon. Like, why are they willing to talk about this now? Does it have anything to do with the spate of really bad news from the Afghan war front?
Oh, sure, probably. There's always a reason why somebody wants to talk about good news.
The story and the Geological Survey report in Afghanistan both originated in the office of the U.S. official Paul Brinkley. He's pitching the discovery himself, as this video from the Department of Defense's website makes clear.
We've identified 20 sites that are worth a lot of money, that will generate rinenough revenue for the Afghans to pay for their own way. You can count on private industry to make investments to help develop these resources because they generate a high return.
Brinkley used to promote business in Iraq, and now he's moved on to Afghanistan. He's an associate of David Petraeus, and he convinced the general to offer a quote to the Times. There is stunning potential here. Potentially, it is hugely significant. So it may not be surprising that Petraeus became the focus of conspiracy theory offered by Russia's RT.
This is a planted story. Who is the only top U.S. official mentioned in the article? It's General David Petraeus. That he is an active candidate for president. He is being groomed by the neocon faction. What he's saying is, make me president and we can exploit this wealth. Whereas with Obama the wimp, he's going to start pulling out in 1 year. If you don't stay, the Chinese will get everything.
If you wanted to look at a pyramid, in the first couple layers, the really eager, hard-working young journalists are out there trying to get the stories, trying to make a name so they can move up that pyramid. Well, the further they move up the pyramid, the more they realize that, the outlets really aren't interested in major news that rocks the boat.
The moat Charles refers to belongs to those at the top of the pyramid, where the interests of the media outlets are quietly defined. The year is 1917, and Representative Oscar Callaway enters a disturbing statement into the U.S. congressional record. The statement reveals why J.P. Morgan interests hired 12 high-ranking news managers. The 12 were asked to determine the most influential newspapers in America. They were to figure out how many news organizations it would take to control generally the policy of the daily press of the United States. They were to figure out how many news organizations it would take to control generally the policy of the daily press of the United States. The 12 found it was only necessary to purchase the control of 25 of the greatest papers. An agreement was reached. The policy of the papers was bought, and an editor was placed at each paper to ensure that all published information was in keeping with the new policy. Soon, that policy would be defined by a front group formed by J.P. Morgan and his colleagues. In fact, Morgan's personal attorney was founding president of the organization, the Council on Foreign Relations. Today, the CFR maintains that its goal is to increase America's understanding of the world. However, the actual objective of this highly exclusive club is revealed by the rare admissions of the insiders themselves. In the early 60s, a Georgetown University professor collects information for a book favorable to the network of powerful men who founded the CFR. For 2 years, Professor Carroll Quigley is allowed to examine the confidential papers and secret records of this network. Quigley reveals that these men aim to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era